Hello everyone, this is Dr. K. Jagannaike, Professor in MBA Department, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So today I would like to discuss with you problem solving questions in financial accounting and financial analysis. After going through this topic, the learner will be able to identify the solutions to problem solving questions with reference to real life situations and can able to prepare different types of accounting statements. So before going to enter into the problem solving, let us revise or recollect the rules for various accounts. The rules for personal account is debit the receiver, credit the giver, and rule for real account, debit what comes in and credit what goes out. Rules for nominal accounts, debit all expenses and losses, credit all incomes and gains. So write journal entries in the books of Mr. Bhavani Sankar from the following transactions and also write ledger accounts of same. 2002 Jan 1st, business commenced with 15,000 and Jan 2nd, cash paid into bank worth 10,000 rupees. Jan 3rd, sold goods for cash worth 7,000. Jan 4th, purchased goods from Vijay 3,000. Jan 5th, machinery purchased for 5,000. Jan 30th, rent paid 2,000. Jan 31st, depreciation charge on machinery 3,000. Jan 31st, depreciation charged on furniture 500. So based on those transactions here, I'm going to enter those transactions in the book of primary entry, which is also known as journal. So a journal consists of 5 columns. The first one is date column, second particulars, third ledger folio which indicates the page number of the ledger in which the particular transaction recorded, next debit amount, credit amount. So every statement it will have two sides, debit and credit side. So Jan 1st, cash account debtor to capital account being business started. So the amount is 15,000 which should be mentioned against cash account on debit side and capital account credit side as cash debited and capital invested in the form of capital in the business. Then Jan 2nd, cash deposited into bank. So bank account debtor to cash account amount 10,000 and credit side also mentioned 10,000. Jan 3rd, goods sold for cash. So whenever you are selling the goods, so this is real account. So as per real account, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So being goods sold for cash, cash account should be debited and sales account should be credited. So how much amount that we use to specify the same amount on debit side and credit side. On Jan 4th, being goods purchased from Vijay. So goods purchased from Vijay. So that we use to specify under purchases account to Vijay account. So amount again on debit side 3,000, credit side 3,000. Jan 5th, machinery purchased for cash. So either one can write machinery account or purchases account because machinery is an asset, so that should be debited and cash it is a liability, so which should be mentioned on credit side. Amount worth 5,000 on debit and credit sides. Jan 30th, rent paid. Rent account debtor to cash account being rent paid. So 2000 is going to debit in rent account and 2000 should be credited to cash account. Jan 31st being depreciation charged on machinery. So depreciation expense account debtor to machinery account. Then here 3000 on debit side, 3000 on credit side. Jan 31st again depreciation charged on furniture. So again we have to specify depreciation expense account debtor to furniture account being depreciation charged on furniture. The amount we should specify on both debit column and credit column, and finally we have to sum up both debit column and credit column. Then based on the journal entries, now we have to post the transaction into ledger in individual accounts. So according to journal, the first account is cash account. So just list out, this is the pro forma of ledger. Here we are going to mention debit and credit, and this is the name of the subsidiary book cash account, cash ledger, and which consists of date, particulars, journal folio, amount, date, particulars, journal folio, amount in rupees. So whatever the cash related transactions in the journal, that should be entered separately in individual accounts. Whatever they have on debit side, you specify on debit side and accordingly credit side. So Jan 2nd, bank 10,000. On Jan 5th, in the form of machinery, we have spent some amount 5,000. Jan 30th, rent paid 2,000. Whereas coming to credit side, cash invested in the form of capital, that should be mentioned on credit side. Why? Because if you observe the journal, cash account debtor to capital account. So this capital account, it should be on credit side. So list out on credit side, even sales on credit side. Then second one is capital account. Only one particular transaction you have invested as capital, only cash. So on Jan 1st, capital account when you are talking about, it should be invested in the form of cash. So cash account we have to mention on debit side how much amount, 15,000. In the same way we have to prepare sales account based on the journal entries. Purchases account, Vijay account, machinery account, rent account. So that should be based on the particular transaction. Okay, and furniture account. So like that, based on the journal entries, we used to post the same transactions in various accounts. Then let us take another example. Prepare a journal statement from the books of Krishna Mohan. 2007 June 1st, business started with cash 25,000 and check 20,000. June 2nd, interest paid for 5,000. June 3rd, commission paid by check 2,000. June 4th, salaries paid for 5,000. June 5th, machinery purchased for 6,000. June 6th, rent received for 20,000. So this information given, and based on that we have to prepare a journal statement. So let us take the journal statement which should be specified debit side and credit side. Date June 1st, cash account debtor to bank account, debtor to capital account. The reason is being business started. So how much amount? In the form of cash, we have invested 25,000, and in the form of check, in the bank 20,000. So as a total 45,000 we have entered here. And June 2nd, being interest paid, interest account debtor to cash account 5,000, 5,000. June 3rd, commission paid by check. So commission account Debtor to bank account 2000 and 2000. Next, June 4th, salaries account debtor to cash account, being salaries paid 5,000, 5,000. On June 5th, machinery purchased by cash. So purchases account debtor to cash account 6,000 on debit side, 6,000 on credit side. June 6th, rent received. So cash account, how we received the rent in the form of cash. So as a result, we should specify cash account debtor to rent account. How much? 20,000 and 20,000. Then get the totals on both debit and credit. The next, prepare a trial balance as on 31st 12 2009 under balances method from the following information. So these accounts are given the items that are included in the preparation of trial balance. Capital 6,000, cash in hand 500, bills receivables 4,550, land and building 6,000, purchases 7,000, sales 8,000, debtors 3,300, creditors 600, bills payable 2,750, bank overdraft 4,000. So while preparing the trial balance, we should consider only real and nominal accounts. So the pro forma of trial balance will be like this. So serial number, heads of accounts, reference, debit amount and credit amount. So first list out all the items given in the problem: capital, cash in hand, bills receivables, land and building, purchases, sales, debtors, creditors, bills payable, bank overdraft. Then find out capital is which type of account, means it is a liability. So that should be entered on credit side. Cash in hand, cash is an asset. So mention on debit side. Bills receivables. So this is again an asset. So ensure that it should be mentioned on debit side. Land and building asset, debit side. Purchases, expense, debit side because it is a nominal account. Sales, revenue. So it should be mentioned on credit side. Debtors, asset, debit side. Creditors, credit side. Bills payable, liability. So credit side. Bank overdraft, again liability. Mention on credit side. Then make the totals of both debit amount and credit amount. Both should be equal. So that's how we used to prepare trial balance so that we can identify in case of any errors while recording the transactions. Next, a company with a current ratio of 2.5 is to 1 and quick ratio of 1 is to 1 has current liabilities of 26 lakhs indicate how the following would affect the current ratio and quick ratio, and also state the amount by which the net working capital is affected. Treat each item separately. Purchase of raw material on account worth 2 lakhs, collection of 10 lakhs from customers, payment of bills by check 3 lakhs from the current balance account. What are your observations about impact of changes in current ratio or quick ratio on net working capital? So current ratio can be computed by the formula current assets by current liabilities. Its standard limit given in the problem, that is 2.5 is to 1, and quick ratio calculated by using the formula quick ratio is equal to quick assets by current liabilities. Its standard limit is 1 is to 1. So its impact will be on purchase of raw materials. It is current liability. So increase of current liability decrease the ratio standard, both current and quick ratios. And coming to collection of 10 lakhs from debtors. Debtors are also current assets, but realizing cash from customers indicates increase in cash received. So the standard of current assets can increase, but in quick ratio, debtors are not considered. So there should not be any kind of effect on quick ratio. Then third one is payment of bills by check. Cash outflows considered as current liability and more cash outflows through bills decrease the ratio limit. So as a result, there is no effect on quick ratio. Then coming to the working capital, sufficient current liabilities are also required to protect the ratio limit in the firm. Otherwise, adverse effect will come. On the basis of the information given in the following table, calculate gross profit ratio, debt equity ratio, working capital turnover ratio. So this information furnished in the problem using this data, now we are going to calculate gross profit ratio, debt equity ratio, working capital turnover ratio. So gross profit ratio can be computed by using the formula gross profit by net sales into 100. So if you want to know the gross profit, it is the difference between net sales minus cost of goods sales. So net sales given in the problem 30 lakhs minus 20 lakhs, gross profit is 10 lakhs. And we know the net sales 10 lakhs divided by 30 lakhs into 100. So the gross profit ratio is 33.33%. Next, debt equity ratio. So total debt can be calculated by taking into consideration short term plus long term liabilities. So, short term liabilities, here we used to consider current liabilities plus debentures plus loans. So, then we can find out total debt. Debt equity ratio can be calculated by the formula total debt by total equity. So, total debt already we have calculated, and this is given in the problem total equity. Then we should get debt equity ratio simply inserting in the formula the values, then it should be 1.15 is to 1. And third one is working capital turnover ratio. So average working capital can be computed by taking the difference between current assets minus current liability by 2. So 2 lakhs divided by 2, average working capital is 1 lakh, and working capital turnover ratio can be calculated by the formula net sales by average working capital. Net sales, which is given in the problem, 30 lakhs divided by 1 lakh. Working capital turnover ratio is 30.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.